Welcome to Chicago Edition, Ballas Union, Chicago Edition. I'm here with my co-host, Jay Rizzo from Rizzo Rant, and we're here to talk about everything Chicago from the past week. And this past week been pretty good for Chicago. The Bears are now 5-1. The White Sox organization has been tuning into the show and taking our advice. They fired Renteria, and Billy Donovan fired his whole coaching staff. Let's get right into the Chicago Bears and their win against Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, again, wasn't pretty. None of the Bears' wins have been, and even Nick Foles at the end on his little press conference, I thought that was pretty smart of him to say. Would you rather win ugly or lose pretty? And he'd always take win ugly. Me too. A win's a win in the football league. That's all it is in the NFL. It's win and move on each week. And the Bears just keep doing just enough to win. I mean, the defense was really good. Again, defense MVP of this game for sure, especially the red zone defense. Uh, they let them get a bunch of yards in that first half, but holding them to all those field goals and not giving up touchdowns really gave the offense a chance to get going a little bit and hold the lead that they had.
Right. Yeah, the defense, I want to say, like we said this before, they got to be the best or either top three for red zone defense. They're just unbelievable when it comes down the stretch. Saying defense been playing amazing. Um, Ryan Pace put out a very talented Super Bowl contending squad. And the reason why the Bears winning ugly and not winning convincingly or not blowing certain teams out is due to coaching. Saying Matt Nagy's great at play designs, and that's about it. Managing games, being a self awareness of the situation, making adjustments. He's just terrible at all those things. He's terrible at all those things. Somebody else needs to be the play caller. Somebody he needs to hire somebody just to, hey, I'm here to let you know about in-game situations like managing the clock, when and when not to use your timeouts. Because in that game, we wasted all three of our timeouts in the first half, way before the 2 minute warning. And the first one was on our first drive. The Bears defense got a turnover, so we was in our red zone, and it was our first drive. The first drive of every game for any football team is basically scripted. They already know the first 5 to 10 plays is going to be called. Everybody knows them. That's what you did in practice, and our practice was a little longer because we was coming from a Thursday night game, so we had a little extra time for practice. So there is no excuse for wasting the time out there. And then not only you wasted the time out, you also got to delay a game like right after the timeout. That just shows that your team ain't prepared, or you're or you're not making it simple enough for the players.
Yeah, that one was a bit of a head scratcher. I mean, you call the timeout, you come out of the timeout, and you get a delay of game. Didn't really make any sense to me either. If you had the timeout, you should have had the play all set up, and then you come out of the timeout, and then they still get a delay of game, which put them back 5 yards. Luckily, they were able to still score the touchdown after that when he got it to the rookie. But yeah, that just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what's going on here. Like I said, and then late in games now, this has been the thing for the Bears the whole season. I don't understand what he was thinking doing that late in game, that third down pass when they only had
Oh
one
my God.
timeout left, and he this isn't the first time that Nagy's done it all year. He's done it almost every game, and even if you don't like the run game in that situation, you run the ball just to make them use the timeout. Like the clock is your friend at that time. You're up. Stop putting so much pressure on your defense. Yes, they're great and they played great yesterday, but why stress them out even more? If you ran the ball there, they would have had less time. You would have been able to punt, put them in a different spot, and then they have no timeouts, and they'd have to go further yards in like 30 seconds rather compared to like a minute and 20 seconds. He did the same thing with the Bucks, even though Tom Brady messed up those downs. You got to stop giving teams chances because even though the
Right,
defense is great, one of these times these chances they're gonna come back on you.
right. Just to touch back on that situation. So that situation, the defense made a stop, big stop, fourth down stop, got the ball back for the offense. They ran the ball, got it for yards. Ran the ball again, you know what I'm saying? So they ran the ball twice and got 8 yards. And then so it's 32. And Carolina wasted 2 timeouts. The first 2 times we ran the ball. They got one more timeout left. Everybody assumed we're gonna, you know, run the ball again because you're averaging 4 yards a carry at this point in that situation, and you're burning timeout and you're burning the clock. But no, Matt Nagy called a drag route for Robinson. Either Robinson dropped it or the defender broke it up. You know what I'm saying? Either or, it doesn't matter. That was the bad call. That was a terrible call. I don't know who in their right mind thought it was smart because, best case scenario, you get the first down. Worst case scenario, you stop the clock. Now, if you go to the run, best case scenario, you get the first down. Worst case scenario, they burn the timeout. So those are both plus for us. And like
Mm-hmm.
this is like this is your third year as a head coach. Like how you don't understand that? You know what I'm saying? How you don't understand these situations? And you're only up by 7. It's not like we was up by 2 scores. If it was up by 2 scores, okay, cool. Take a risk, take a chance. You know what I'm saying? See if you catch defense off guard. You
Right.
know, but you're only up by 1 score. And like you said, the defense bailed us up. The kid Carson, safety, he been on the
Got
squad
his first
forever.
yeah, got his first pick.
Yep, got his first interception.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. He knows he got bailed out this week for sure, and I've seen it already from a bunch of Chicago media. They're starting to say the same thing. How are we gonna keep winning when he keeps getting bailed out like this for decisions like this? You know, and it is gonna come back to bite you. You can't keep testing the waters with stuff like this, and you can't keep putting such onus on your defense and such onus just doing bad time management. It'll all start coming back at some point. And don't get me wrong, we're 5-1. We've won. A lot of people are gonna say we probably we were close enough in almost all games that yeah, we could be 0-6. And I'm not even lying about that. But we are 5-1. We do find ways to win, which is good in a team because we're not finding ways to lose or blow in games. So
Right.
hopefully that'll give us confidence going into some of these other games. Now, next week will be a big test. We're back on prime time. Uh, Bears on prime time are iffy at best, you know. So we did show up big in that first Thursday night game against the Bucks, but we get Monday night all to ourselves next week against the Rams, who are coming off a tough loss against the Niners. So they're going to come out because they need a win. And McVay's a very good coach, and I don't think he is going to blow some of these opportunities if you give them to him.
Right. Yeah, the Rams definitely not going to do that. Um, saying Aaron Donald, he's going to dominate. Doesn't matter who we have in our line. Our line, I don't know if they're good or bad. I don't know if Mitch Trubisky made them look good. You know what I'm saying? Because they look horrible with Nick Foles.
I don't know.
Um,
I thought they looked a little better today. I didn't think, or yesterday. I mean, I didn't think they were amazing, but I also didn't think they looked as bad as against. Obviously, the Bucks. They looked a little bit better than 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was the worst that I saw. So they have gotten a little bit better each week. I'm not gonna say that they're perfect. We're still missing people. Obviously, we had a new guard in today, and I thought he did okay. I didn't think he got destroyed enough to be like, oh man, we're in trouble. But yeah, next week against Aaron Donald and the Rams front, another big test. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. We need to start committing back to the run game. In the beginning of the game, Montgomery looked like he just needs to get into rhythm because at the end of the game, he was hitting those holes and hitting his strides. But in the first few carries, he just looked like he was just like hesitant, and you can't be hesitant as a running back. So once he got into rhythm, he looked back to his old self. But we need to stay committed to the run game. All this passing and all this swing pass and all that is you can't do that. Like you can't those swing passes ain't gonna work against the Ram with Jalen Ramsey on one side.
No, I definitely agree. We can't keep having such an unbalanced attack, and we can't keep kicking the run to the curb as soon as it's so bad. You got to stick with it for a little bit. For one thing, it helps the offense get into a little bit of a rhythm if they're not just having to pass block all the time. Get some run blocking in there. Then the wideouts aren't always having to be forced to do everything. You gotta use it a little bit more. I understand Montgomery's average isn't great, but you also don't give him enough chances to get it back up there. You got to just stick with it. I'd like to see at least 20 plus runs if we can as a team this next game.
Right, right, right. Yep. Talk about the wide receivers. Mooney finally in the starting lineup. So obviously Nagy heard us, so we're watching the show. Uh,
Man, I don't know. Again, Miller just for me just keeps looking worse each week. I don't know
yeah,
what's going on with him. I don't think it's talent wise, but every time like he had a pass that wasn't the best thrown ball, but it wasn't terrible. He should have caught it, and then kind of after that, it looked like they sort of phased him out. I mean, like I said, for overall, the offense was it was on and off and made some big plays here and there, but never got into a full rhythm of anything. But yeah, I'm glad to see that at least the coaching staff is starting to notice that Mooney has been playing a lot better than Miller has.
yeah, yeah. But Miller, I think, is all mental. Is because the talent's there. He can get the separations. Like you go back and see replays, and when he's just running his routes, he gets separations and all that. He can dropping passes is just a focus thing. And then the other thing too, when he did catch a pass, he ran back instead of going forward for the first down and cost
Oh
us the
man,
first down.
yeah, yeah. That was one of the big plays I saw too. He had dropped the pass, and then when he did catch that one, and he slid back to try to go get extra yards when it was like, dude, you were right at the first down line, like just fall over. And yeah, that comes down to them letting people know, hey, if it's this down, this many yards, you catch the ball right here at the line, just fall over it. Get those first downs.
Yeah, yeah. So for Miller, it's all mental. I don't know. Like I said, under Nagy's regime, there haven't been a player that been developed. There haven't been not one player I could think of that been developed. So yeah, the coaching staff or somebody needs to go in and tell them, hey, certain situations, or I don't know what they do in practice. I guess they spend all their time with Nagy's crazy play design. They don't have time to work on the little things. Another person that he had an on and off game, mostly off, mostly bad, was the rookie Johnson.
Hmm.
And a lot of those things could be coached up. Like he got two PI calls, pass interference calls. The second one was iffy, but the ref still called it. But at the same time, the coaching staff needs to go to him. Even after the first one, the coaching staff needs to go to him like, hey, this is what you did wrong. This is what you did right. This is how you get away with it. Because if they would have taught him how to get away with it, that second one would have never been called. And then it would have been like, man, great play, Johnson, instead of you just gave up a touchdown, Johnson.
Right. And yeah, I was talking to you when the game was going on that Johnson he just looked off from the start. But yeah, that's something that a DB's coach got to come in and talk to their guy, let him know what he's doing wrong, and be like, dude, no more of this, okay? Like they should have got him early on that first PI, let him know what's up. Like, hey, this is what you got to kind of do. And some of the veteran corners need to come over and talk with him as well. Don't put it just all on the coaches. Some of the players should come over and let him know. Fuller.
Fuller's not
And
that kind of corner.
I know, but it's still, if you have players that are there, that they need to go over there and at least tell them, like, dude,
Right,
this is
right.
this is this is how you're not going to get called for this if you want to try to do that. Because I mean, like I said, the second one, I agree with you, it wasn't like crazy egregious, but if they see that you're hooked arm to arm, they're usually going to give it to the DB. So you got to kind of get that out of there, or maybe make it look like you didn't intentionally hook it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it worries me a little bit because I hope it doesn't start bringing his confidence down because we're going to need him next week. You got Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp coming in, two pretty good wideouts that you're going to have to stick.
Right, right, right. Yep. Yeah, Fuller never been the cerebral type or instinct. He's just been getting. He relies a lot on his talent, his God given gifts, his athleticism. The way Fuller plays, I always said from day one he should be a safety instead of a corner because he reads and reacts. He reads and see what's going on first, then reacts. As a corner, you got to do more reacting than reading. Even when he got called in that pass interference or illegal touching or whatever, he just got too excited and hit the guy too early. Saying if he would have waited, he probably would have had the interception instead of Jackson. But yeah, he's just better at. But he's great in zone, and then like when he's in man coverage, he don't know. Like he has, even if he's there covering the guy, he has like no clue where the ball's going. So that's the wrong type of guy. But we do got Gibson at safety. Maybe he could help Johnson. Because other than that, it seems like everybody's on their own. This Bears team is very talented, and it seems everybody's on their own. It's like the coaching staff don't make adjustments. The coaching staff don't switch things up. And when they do switch things up, it makes no sense whatsoever. Like putting Khalil Mack in the coverage. I'm tired of seeing Khalil Mack in coverage.
Yeah, that's just asinine. I don't know what they're thinking there. That's not what you paid that guy that money for at all.
Yeah. That's like putting Aaron Donald in coverage. And people will be like, oh, the entire offense will be like, thank you.
Right,
Thank
exactly. You're taking away his best asset of him getting into the backfield and causing chaos, and then you're putting him out there to cover where that's just not something he does.
Yep. They just need to keep him and they do great. And a lot of stuff happens when Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack are next to each other with their hands down on the line. And then Nichols had a big game. Nichols was providing a lot of pressure. And because of all of that, when you had Nichols, Hicks, Mack, all of them dominating, nobody's guarding Quinn now. Now Quinn could go out there and make plays.
Yeah. One other thing I want to bring up, it looks like we might have finally found a kicker here in Chicago.
Oh,
it's been a while.
I don't know. He's been consistent. He's been hitting kicks after his first game. We could just chalk that up to rest or not being in football shape or football ready. But I'm not going to say we have a kicker until we get those cold winter months in Soldier Field with the lake effect, with the wind. And if he starts hitting consistently then I'll sign off.
I mean, he was perfect yesterday, and him hitting that 50-yarder when I was like, oh, man, they're going to try this with this guy? Okay. And then he hit it. I was just like, wow, all right. It's been a while, since we've at least felt confident when somebody went out there to kick. So right now, he at least has my confidence. I'm not going to mark him down as, the savior at kicking. But for now, this has been a while since when he goes out, I'm expecting him to make it right now, at least. When in years past, with Parkey, and then last year with, I don't even remember who it was, but nobody I liked the last 2 years. So when any of those came out, I was not feeling good.
Right. We set the bar so low that you're excited and happy that a guy hit a 50-yard field goal when that's supposed to be automatic because you're in the NFL.
Yes, I am, because it's just been, like I said, it's been since Gold's been gone that I really have felt anyway. Because all the other ones, you know, you weren't sure what was going to happen. I mean, to keep Parkey 2 years ago after he had that one game where he missed 3 or 4, I just didn't know what they were even thinking. They kept him, and it's like, what do you think's going to happen the next time he has to try to make one that's big? And they waited until the playoffs, and what happened? He missed.
Yeah,
And then last year was the same thing. The kicker they had, he was so bad. Like I said, I can't even remember who the hell it was. But
yeah. He won the kicking tournament. Whatever that
yeah,
was crazy though. He won the kicking tournament, but he wasn't the best kicker. You know what I'm saying? Again, shout out to the coaching staff. They have no clue what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Talent.
hey, but 5-1. We are
Yeah.
in first place all by ourselves because the Packers got destroyed. So we are in first place all by ourselves right now.
No, we're tied for first place, ain't it?
No, because we're 5-1 and they're 4-1. They had a bye.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we are all by ourselves. So we control our own destiny right now.
Yes.
You
Yes, we
know.
do.
So got to come out Monday, and I agree with you. We need to see some more consistency in the offense. We need to see some more balance, and clock management, man, like making adjustments. I think they've done a little bit better with some adjustments on field, but time management, that stuff that he's pulling at the end of games when they're close games really will come back to bite you at some point. You can't keep misusing that and
Right, right, right.
sliding through with victories.
Yep. And it only took us 6 games to finally score in the third quarter.
Oh man, yes.
Shout out to David Montgomery. You know what I'm saying?
No,
We broke the
we
streak.
thought it was David Montgomery, remember? It looked like Montgomery had gotten the touchdown, and then they re-looked at it, and when
Oh,
they showed the review, yes, he was
yeah,
just
yeah.
short.
That's right.
Then
That's
they
right. It was
came
Nick
back, and
Foles.
I thought for sure they were gonna blow it somehow, and a fumble was gonna happen, or they were gonna turn it over on a play action pass, but they just came back and did a QB sneak because it was on like the inch line, and Nick Foles put it in.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, because before that, the Bears got another turnover. We was in the red zone. And I'm like, man, they got to score right here.
And they
He throws
turned
an
it right
interception.
back over.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought I'm not gonna lie. I will give the team a lot of credit for that one because that's when I thought the wheels were gonna come off and everything was gonna start going haywire. But the defense got right back on it there, and then the offense the next drive looked all right. So give them a little bit of credit because that could have been a big swing right there.
Yes, yes. Moving along, the White Sox management, front office, definitely was tuning into the show. They definitely was listening to you. Your buddy is gone. You know what I'm saying? How's the White Sox Nation feeling about that?
Well, it's really weird because I mean the funny thing is when these baseball awards start coming out, it's not going to shock me if Rick Renteria wins AL Manager of the Year because nobody thought the White Sox would be as good as they were. Everybody liked them. They had a lot of talent, but I don't think a lot of people thought we'd be 10 games over 500 and we would have had one of the top 4 records in the whole league. So that's gonna be funny to see if he gets AL Manager of the Year and we just canned him. But yeah, he kind of did it to himself, and it this year more than anything, the expectations got risen as the season went, which kind of sucks for a coach. Um, but once you got to see how this team played and they were going when they were playing well, it was like, man, this team is good. Like not just good, like good enough that they can make it to the World Series this year. But the last 2 weeks of the season, you could see that the pressure. I don't know if the pressure just got to Ricky, or he just got in his own head and just decided to start doing even more crazier things than he already had done in the past. Because some of those decisions in some of those games against Cleveland and Cincinnati and even the Cubs, it was like, man, we needed that last week, and even the week before that, it was just like the team, like you could just see it. Like they had a good series against Minnesota, the last one for the year, and they took 3 out of 4 from them finally and won a series, and that had them set pretty well for the upcoming week after that to stay in first place. But he just made some really strange decisions in that last week, and then it just folded over into the playoff series against Athletics. First game, Giolito pitched amazing, so you didn't have to do a whole lot. He did most of the work for you. Second game, he did okay, not totally his fault. They had some defensive lapses at the beginning of the game that they never could come back from. But then that third game, man, all those pitching changes, like, so fast. And I get it, it was an elimination game, but the way that you did it, and you had a guy get hurt, and you can't control that. But yeah, the writing was on the wall, and after that third game and how it looked to everybody, I just don't think you could have kept him. The locker room loves the guy. All the players love Ricky. But I think they all understand, well, especially Dallas Keuchel. I think Dallas Keuchel's the one guy who's new, obviously, so he's not like so entwined with Ricky and hasn't gotten to know him as much. But I think he's the one guy that realizes, like, he's not going to be the guy to do it. And you kind of sometimes need an outside guy to tell everybody, because, you know, everybody else is buddy-buddy with Ricky, gotten to know him for the past 3 to 4 years. And but now, with him gone, after hearing Rick Hahn's press conference the day that it happened, you know, the way it made it sound was they were going to be looking for kind of a newer age coach, kind of a guy who does more of the analytics, looks more at the stats and stuff like that, which is a big thing in baseball now. And you do kind of need that, I feel, for the way that the game is being played. And the White Sox team is kind of set up for that. So the way he was talking, it kind of sounded like he also wanted people that had proved playoff experience and had been winning in the playoffs recently. So that led me to 2 guys to start, which would be A.J. Hinch and Alex Cora, both managers who got suspended last year because they got involved in the Houston Astros thing, where Hinch was the manager and Cora was his assistant coach when that was happening. Both good managers. I think they are good managers. I think they're fine choices. I would not be opposed to them. It's funny because then a guy that I brought up that's being talked about now, which didn't sound anything like what Hahn was saying at the press conference, is Tony La Russa, which I had brought up on this show a couple of times. And now I'm almost kind of pissed that I brought it up even, because the more that I think about it, as great as Tony La Russa is, and he's a Hall of Famer, I don't think he's going to work at all here if he gets... I think if they sign Tony La Russa, this team might get destroyed before it even starts.
Yep.
And 2 big reasons here, and you can chime in if you think the same thing, but one, he hasn't been in the game for a while. He's been a special advisor for the Angels, but that could mean anything. He's just there. He probably just helps out a little bit, but he's not involved in the team, really. That just is a title that you give to somebody. So he hasn't been in the baseball game now for the past, 8-10 years? So game's changed a lot. It's not the same. And even... Oh, go ahead.
The last time he coached or managed, you got to see how he was winning. And that was with the Cardinals team, and he had Pujols. You know what I'm saying? So that team was just built great. But like you said, those old school ways of playing baseball is not the thing of the past now. You gotta be real key on when to take in and when to pull your pitchers. And those old school managers like to keep their pitchers in. They give the pitchers the benefit of the doubt. And then, as you can see, that's what killed the Cubs in their playoff run. Not knowing when to take pitchers out or or when to put them in. This is what killed the White Sox and their playoff runs. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you got
Yeah,
to know that's the biggest thing.
right. And I mean, I think it's a different offensive game too now. I mean, you are more hoping for hard hit balls. You don't care as much about strikeouts. You're not worrying about average and stuff like that. So that's my first big issue, and that's like exactly what Han was talking about. So if you went with LaRussa, it wouldn't make any sense of what he said at the presser. Let's just start there, and it would be 100% a Reinsdorf signing because they're buddies. You know, he's known LaRussa since the 80s, and he managed here. So they're friends. So that also, I think, would fracture the relationship between Han and Reinsdorf if that happened, because he knows Han. He would be going over Han's head. And as a GM, you never like that. But now the second thing that worries me a lot, he's an old white guy. Let's start right there, just flat out. He is an old white guy who acts like a prototypical old white guy. There are articles coming out, and now this is after he was done managing, about how he felt about the good old Colin Kaepernick situation when it was happening. And man, let me tell you, it was not good sounding the way he felt about it. And
Right.
you would be coming to a team that is majority your best players, and your whole team is full of minorities who all are respecting. They all want to help with the Black Lives Matter movement and are all for unity and all that. Where LaRussa wanted to throw Kaepernick out of the league when he was doing that. He said, if any of my players did that, I would tell them to stay in the locker room. So just hearing stuff like that, it's like, man, if you sign this guy, it's not gonna go well with how
Right.
this team is set up and how baseball is now and all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. This guy's stuck way back when, so and that's not gonna work with this team.
Right. 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 Yeah. If so, there's a couple things to touch on. One, all those people that says you're disrespecting the flag, you're disrespecting the troops, and not none of them spent a day in the military. Not none of them signed up to join the military. So like your opinion doesn't matter. You're just saying shit just to say shit. You know what I'm saying? Unless you served in the military, unless you've been to war, unless you've been out there in the battlefield, you're saying your opinion doesn't matter. You don't know what the disrespect is. And then going back to Tony Russo being an old white guy, different times back then. Like there was a famous old white guy. If this show was on today, will get canceled after one episode. Is what's it called? All in the Family with Archie Bunker.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now back then, that was just a normal rhetoric because it was just not old white guys talking like that too. Red Fox and Sanford and Son, you know what I'm saying, basically had the same dialogue, just different cultures. You know what I'm saying? So back then, that was, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that was the culture, that was the rhetoric back then. And then now you got people, in a certain age group, they still talk like that, still think like that. It doesn't necessarily make them racist. You know what I'm saying? It was just that's how they were. And then, like you said, the team is mostly minorities. Actually, your team has got a gang of Cuban players, a gang of
Yes.
Spanish players, or Latin descent.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think Alex Cora is the best fit because of that. And in hindsight, because we go back to the Cubs when they were winning and when they won the World Series, they had Joe Madden and they had Dave Martinez. You know what I'm saying? And back then, everybody knew Dave Martinez handled all the Latin players, and then Joe Madden just made sure everybody wasn't stretched out. He did a lot of tactics to put the team at ease. And then David Ross, even though he was a player, he was the only one holding people accountable. But in hindsight, you know what I'm saying, we know Joe Madden wasn't it. You know what I'm saying, he didn't do nothing with the Angels this year. Um,
They did get hot late. I'll say this. They did get hot late. It took them a little bit, but they got hot late. They were pushing for that last playoff spot, but they started off so bad.
Yeah, same thing with the Cubs. They go on their streaks when he was coaching. David Ross, he's just the Cubs did the exact same thing. So he wasn't the difference maker. Then you go to Dave Martinez, very high. He was sought out to be a high and manager, and he won a World Series without us, with the
Hmm.
Nationals, and he won with the Nationals losing their best player, or arguably the best player in baseball at the time when they gave away or let him walk away was Bryce Harper.
Yeah, and just going back to it with all the people that got, I mean, we had lots of people getting thrown out earlier in the week. At the press conference, Rick Hahn made it abundantly clear that the first person they called and talked to was Ozzy, just to let him know we're not going to pursue anything with you. And it sucked to hear that because I do like Ozzy and I do think he could do this, but he is a very old school manager as well. So I think it was best to just kind of cut that one off immediately if that's not what you're looking for. Um,
Right.
Corin Hinch, yes, they have the best resumes of guys out there, but they're going to have that stigma of who wants to hire someone that was cheating. So as of right now, I'm okay if they sign either of those two, and I don't mind them. But really, the guy that I would hope that they would call, since he said now recently in some interviews I saw, because his name popped up and I wasn't even thinking about it, and I think he's better than any of the other choices, would be Bruce Bochy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't think about that one either until I started seeing it earlier this week. I didn't even know he wanted to come back and coach. But he said in an interview with somebody, I don't know where he's living right now. I forget what the article had said, but he had said that he's willing to talk to anybody. He's open for anything. So that right there opens the door, and you should be calling that guy immediately because that guy, he knows how to win, and he's a good manager. He's a little bit on the older side, I'll say, but he has recently been managing. He's only been out for a couple years now. Just 2 years ago, I think, is when he retired.
Yeah.
So, and he did a lot with that Giants team that didn't have a whole lot of talent. They had some great pitchers, but overall, as an offensive team, they didn't have a whole lot of talent. So he would be coming here to a team that's set up, ready to win, and you'd have some horses already as your starters. You'd have guys like Keuchel and Giolito, which he would love. None of them are like Mad Bum yet. I can't put that on there. That dude's one of the best postseason pitchers of all time. But Bochy, man, that's who I think they should be talking to.
Right, right. Yeah, he knows exactly when to pull them and when to leave them. So that'd be great. And then he got timely hitting out of that. Shoot, he made Jeff Kent look like an MVP. So
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, he won 3 titles in a span of 5 years with that team. So he definitely knows what he's doing. He would be one that I'd like them at least to talk to. I know they're going to talk to Hinch, and I know they're going to talk to, for sure, Alex Cora. They've already been talking to Tony La Russa, which, like I said, I really hope it's just talk and smoke. If that one comes up, I'm very worried for this team. But if we get Cora or Hinch, I'm not going to be mad. And I understand, guys, they were cheaters and all that. You do need to give people second chances and see what happens. I still think Hinch is a pretty good manager, and I still like Cora a lot. But Bochy would be the main guy I would be focusing on. I don't know if they're going to do that. There's some other candidates obviously that popped up that would have been cool to see. AJ as manager would have been interesting to give a new guy a chance. I do like how he sounds when he does announcing right now for games. I think he is pretty smart. He's a smart guy. He's a catcher, which I always like. I think catchers make the best managers of former players. I do think that they should talk to Omar Vizquel. He was with the organization. He was down in Single A with the team. He had won Manager of the Year in the minors for them when he was on the Single A team about 2 or 3 years ago. I think right now he's actually managing in the Mexican League. But he would be somebody to give a call. But main 3 guys in my thing would be Hinch, Cora, Bochy. If Bochy wants it, I would give it to him in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even stress about anybody else. But then if you have to go backup plans, Hinch or Cora are the best for what it sounds like Rihan wants for this team.
Right, right. Yep, yep. So yeah, yeah. Let's see in the future to see what happens. I believe Ham will make the right choice because he's been doing great ever since he been in charge. And moving along, Billy Donovan fired the the basically entire coaching staff. Great start. He needs to do one more thing before I call it amazing, is that's fire the entire medical staff.
I don't know if I've ever seen that before from a new coach or even a head coach that's still on a team that maybe is frustrated. Um, yeah, I think you have to start fresh with this team. We gotta get rid of the stench of Jim Boylan and Gar Foreman. Like it's gotta go. It can't stay on this team and hope this team's going to be successful if you keep anybody that had anything to do with the coaching that guy was doing. They got to go. Anybody that had a mindset that Gar Foreman was doing a good job, got to go. Get him out of here right now.
Right, right,
You gotta start completely new, and I think it's something more teams should do when they hire new managers. You should allow your new manager, your new coach, to get their own staff because they're gonna if they don't have their right guys, they're not going to be wanting to run their system because they're going to be running previous systems that they used or they're going to be running their own systems. So you need to get people that are in with what you're going to be doing. So you kind of need your guys.
right. So yeah, I was happy about that. It does look like in high, is I don't know. I'm still suspect on the Bulls, but it does look like they're done with the Gar Foreman and John Paxson regime. So even though John Paxson still holds some type of title in the organization, but they swept the front office. Saying they cleaned house in the front office. They cleaned house in the coaching staff, which at one point they was talking about keeping Bolin, which was mind boggling. Now the only thing they need to do left is get a whole new training staff and medical staff. Because I'll tell you one thing: a lot of these injuries that they blame Tom Thibodeau for, it was really because the medical staff misdiagnosed the players. Like one instance, Luol Deng had a flu, or Luol Deng had a flu, and they misdiagnosed him and gave him a spinal tap. And then they said he could play 2 days later after a spinal tap, which is, if you know anything about a spinal tap, you ain't gonna be able to play for another month or so. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I mean, with the whole spinal tap thing, just going back on Dang, I remember that. I think it was more though too that he just wanted to get out there because I think that was during the playoffs when that happened.
Yeah. No, give me. I know he wants to get out there, but at the same time, every player that's a warrior wants to get out there,
Hmm.
and it's up to the training staff and medical staff to be like, no, you're not clear to play, and then the coaching staff has to honor that. But you know, what I'm saying, you had a coach that said, "Oh, okay, they're good to play. I'm just gonna play them." You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
it was some weird things going on with the Tibbs era though too, because then you also had people like Kirk Heinrich who were missing games, sitting out games, not trying to play. I don't know. I always took it as he just wasn't trying to get out there, but would go down with like a thigh bruise, and you have a guy over here who's getting injections for his spine who wants to get out there and play. So yeah, it always did interest me what the hell is going on here with this medical staff or what's going on with these players.
Right. Another one in that era was Mike Dunleavy Jr. He got injured or whatever, and the media and our medical staff said he'll be back in 2 to 3 weeks. Mike Dunleavy said, "I'm done for the year. The earliest I could be back is in 3 months." You know what I'm saying? So that was. He's like, "I got a second opinion," and basically he said, "I got a second opinion. I don't trust them. Whatever they say is wrong." And you know what I'm saying? And then all that leads up to they almost ruined Jimmy Butler's career because he had an injury. They brought him back too fast. He almost blew out his knee. They definitely ruined Derrick Rose's career. You know what I'm saying? They killed Luol Deng. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? It was a Tom Tip. Was Luol Deng great because he played for Tom Thibodeau's system, or did the Chicago Bulls destroy him where he was worthless after he left the Bulls?
I mean, I won't put it all on Tibbs, but Tibbs was playing that man about 45 minutes a game every game.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
So
But it's also,
go
yeah, I
ahead.
don't know. I think it's part Tibbs, part Dane, because Dane never wants to get out the game. You know what I'm saying? And misdiagnosis, too. It was a combination of all three, I think, for Luol Deng.
I mean, I'm not opposed to getting a new medical staff. It's just I don't know. It's hard for me to wonder what's going to happen. Like I don't know if it was because Boylan was mismanaging people and he thought that they shouldn't be playing because they were hurt, or he was putting people out there who were hurt. He's a terrible manager, so I have no idea what was going on with this team when he was here.
Right, right.
Tibbs, I know is a good coach, and I know he knows what he's doing, but he did push people hard too. So it
Yeah.
is going to be interesting to see now how Billy Donovan does with stuff and see how the injuries look this season. But yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to getting a new medical staff. Anything fresh for this team is good. If you want to
Right.
get fresh water boys, do it. Anything that was with Boylan should be gone. So if they were tainted by what Boylan was doing, then get them the hell out of here, I say.
Right, right. Yep. And that's pretty much it for the show. We got the Cubs ain't doing nothing new. The Blackhawks ain't doing nothing new. Chicago Sky is hopefully they retool and be back in the playoffs. The Blackhawks, they haven't made no moves outside of what we talked about last week. And that's about it for Chicago sports. You got Chicago Fire, but we really don't track that. I'm gonna be honest with you guys.
I saw them the other day, and actually, my wife was saying I feel bad that their names are Chicago Fire because people probably keep thinking about TV show and stuff. Forget that that's still a soccer team.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if just for closing remarks, I mean, be happy right now, Bears fans, for sure. I think most of us aren't blind to what's going on if you're a smart fan. We're 5-1, but we're still worried, obviously. You can hear it in Nagy's voice when he talks after the game, even. I mean, I do like that Nick Foles is getting a little bit more confident because when that dude gets confident, he is a good leader, if anything. So that I like. And the red zone defense, I think, has been amazing. Defense overall has been good. And one last thing I would just say, man, everybody make sure you go out and vote this year. 100%. Everybody's pushing for it. I agree with it. Don't squander it. Don't think your vote doesn't matter. Go out and vote. I'm not telling you who you should pick. You can vote for whoever you want, but you should vote.
Right, right,
It is a great right that we all have, and we need to start taking advantage of it.
right. If you didn't vote, then you need to be quiet and sit in the back because no one wants to hear your opinions about this, that, and third. You had a chance to make a difference, so go out there and vote. Now, if you did vote and the person you voted for didn't win, then you need to make a bigger effort at local elections.
Yes.
You're saying you need to start being active, not just because of the president election. The local election plays a bigger factor in how your day-to-day life goes. So then who the president is. So like Rizzo said, go out there and vote. And on that note, we're out.